Hey guys, this is a little bit of help with 3.3 where we're working on solving linear equations or simple equations. And as we go through and solve these, each of these sections has its own unique type of problem, and so we'll talk about those as we go through each individual type. If we start here with the first group of problems, 3 through 11, let's take a look here at question number 10. There we go. All right. So the first thing that we need to understand is that when you have like terms, maybe two of the same letter, those things need to be added before we start the solving process. So right here, I see that I have a negative 4m and a positive m. These things need to be combined before I worry about trying to actually solve for m. So if I combine the negative 4m plus, we'll call this 1m, that gives me negative 3m plus 2. At this point, now that I only have 1m in the problem, I can start trying to peel the layers off. And we always want to start by removing things like addition and subtraction first. Since this is a plus 2, I can start by minusing 2 from both sides. On the left, that's going to give me 21. On the right, this is going to zero out. 2 minus 2 goes to 0, so I don't need it anymore. So this just equals a negative 3m. The next thing I want to look at is any division or multiplication that I can do. I notice this is a negative 3 times m. That means I can divide by negative 3 to create a single m. If you think about it, negative 3 over negative 3, it's a 1. So this becomes 1m, and that's what I'm looking for in producing my answer. What I do to one side, I'm going to reproduce over here, and 21 divided by negative 3 is negative 7. And there's my answer. Now, as we go on, there's some other things that we come across when we try to solve these problems that's worth taking a look at. The second set is called using the distributive property. And so we really want to look at how do we get, this m here, the 2 next to this m plus 1, to be able to be combined with the 5m. And the answer to this is that we really need to focus on distributing first to make the problem easier to manage. So if I distribute this 2 on number 14 first, my new equation would say 5m plus 2 times m is 2m plus 2 times 1 is 2 equals 23. At this point, now I can start working on the rest of the problem and going back to kind of where we were just a minute ago, combining like terms and then solving. So this 5m and 2m becomes a 7m plus 2 equals 23. I'm going to subtract my 2 because now I'm going into the solving phase. Again, 2 minus 2, that zeroes out, so I have 7m equals 21. And when you divide both sides by that 7, m equals 3. The last thing that we're dealing with in this part of the assignment is, excuse me just a second. All right, that's better. What we're going to be working with here on this last part is really focusing on getting rid of a fractional distribution. See, normally when we look at something like 21, we would want to distribute the 4/3 into the parentheses. The problem with doing that is that when I do that, I end up with weird fractions that I don't simplify very well, and I just, 4/3 times 7 is going to be 28/3. I really don't want to be carrying that around. I'd much rather have something else to work with. And so what we're going to do instead is we're going to actually focus on turning this 4/3 into a 1 via multiplication. The way we do that is by multiplying by the reciprocal. The reciprocal of 4/3 is 3 over 4. Now if I do that to one side, I have to do it to the other. But let's look at what happens over here on the left. If we look at that 4/3 and 3/4, if I multiply straight across, I will get 12 over 12. 12 over 12 is the same as 1. It reduces down to a 1. In what situation would you ever feel the need to distribute a 1? The answer is we don't. That's not a necessary step. Multiplying by 1 doesn't change anything. So by using this reciprocal, we've created a multiplication of 1. Not 4/3, not 3/4, but 1. So now I'm left with a problem that's simply 7 minus n equals, now I do have to calculate this guy, 12 times 3/4. The nice thing is early in the book, we're going to get a lot of really nice ones. If If you put this in the calculator or you do it by hand, 12 times 3 is 36. 36 divided by 4 is just 9. Now I'm going to minus my 7. Minus my 7. I get negative n. Now that negative n really matters here. Okay, equals 2. This is not n. It's negative n. I need to reverse that. So I'm going to need to divide by negative 1 on both sides in order to get a positive n equals negative 2. All right. Not all of them are going to require that extra negative at the end to be managed, but hopefully this helps you get through the homework and bring your questions in and shoot me a message out on Teams if you need. And we'll see you in class.